An Australia without rugby league is not Australia. Rugby league has been a fabric of our society for hundreds of years. It's people's escape, it's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of rugby league.
It has been those Australians who have worked hard every day. They have their dreams, they have their aspirations. These are the quiet Australians who have won a great victory tonight.
Oh dear. Now, PVL just said rugby league, and I'm going to say it properly, rugby league.
No.
I like to call it just league. I didn't need to say rugby anymore. It's league or union. Let's go back to the old days where it was league or union, and we didn't care.
You're getting me fired up. From the get-go, it's rugby league. There is no question. We are now playing rugby
we can
league.
Thank the mighty Overlord all you like, but we can be true to ourselves occasionally, can't we, Dennis?
Oh, rugby league is being true to ourselves.
Okey-dokey.
It is the truth.
What's wrong with footy?
That's fine.
Because we know what footy is, and that's rugby league.
Correct.
Rugby
Okay.
league.
Welcome to Fire Up the Quiet Australians. Now, I should go quietly into the night after my team's lost, but I'm not. I'm going to play ball with all of you today and talk about the weekend that was, the opening of Resumption Day or Resumption Weekend. And
Resumption round, I think.
Resumption round is more appropriate.
I think so, yeah.
But as a Dragons fan, you're more comfortable when you're losing, able to complain about the coach.
I don't know where you got that idea from, Dennis. You are too young to know.
You must be very comfortable.
The mighty Dragons did not go comfortably with a loss. Now, PVL just said there in our opening that it is people's escape. Yeah, I thought so before the round started. I was very excited, anticipating, and I was enjoying the escape for a couple of days, Thursday and Friday. It all fell to shit on Saturday, and then I thought, I'm going to cut my wrist here. This is no good at all, this stuff. He did say it's our relaxation. I was not terribly relaxed. I was jittery. How about you, Chris?
Well, I didn't suffer all the way through that game because, I try to enjoy my Saturdays, but I did tune in, and there were a few hardy souls actually on the bridge at Gosford, sort of peering into
They looked a bit windy, didn't it?
Central
It was
Close
cold.
/ Blue Tongue, whatever it's called, stadium.
Yep.
Were you one of them?
No, I was not. I was in the comfort. I was relaxing in the comfort of my home. That is true, if you can call it relaxing. I want to talk about, though, this the recreation, this new era, and I would like to say that since Peter Volandis, like a meteorite, struck the Earth many, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years
Millions.
ago.
72 million years ago, I think.
Climate change moments where, the Ice Age occurred, the dinosaurs lost the battle, and suddenly there's a new breed, and the little creatures... Talking about the little creatures, we'll talk about the little men later in the show. The little creatures came forth and dominated the planet. Now, Volandis is like that meteorite in rugby league. He's come in, he's just run roughshod over everything, and I think we want to debate the effect. And in a sense, like the master at the carnival.
So you're saying he's killed off the mega reptiles and he's replaced them with the agile mammals.
Nimble is the other word.
Nimble.
Of the year. Nimble and agile, yes.
Wow.
We have to be, and I must admit the game was even faster than I thought it was going to be on the weekend. What did you make of the first side of footy?
Well, what I'm trying to do is, can we put rugby league into some sort of time structure like Mesozoic, Jurassic, that sort of thing?
Sure.
Because
So we're now in the Volandic era.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are in the Volandic era, and I think it's already been noted historians, the likes of Roy Masters, who talk about, and we'll talk a little bit later about the impact of the big men and the little men.
Yeah.
But it's like the age of Leviathans is gone. The lumbering beast that used to rumble over the rugby league paddocks
Shannon Boyd.
are gone.
Yeah. And the lumbering beast that knew nothing of art, Chris, knew nothing of technology or of innovation, didn't know Rembrandt from Bowie, didn't know anything. Suddenly, the art of rugby league has come to the fore, and I'd like to discuss with you the two big changes, and you, Dennis, the notion, first of all, of the crowd noises, the faux crowd noise, the fake crowd noise made by technicians on Channel 9 and Fox. First of all, your response.
My response as a sound engineer, rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Do
wank,
extrapolate, please.
Unnecessary. We are at a remarkable time in history. We've had rugby league for hundreds of years, remember. Hundreds of years. And this is a unique time. Rugby league has never not had crowds before.
Yes.
So why not embrace the uniqueness and listen to the on-field? Listen to what's happening on field. Get the sounds of what it's actually like. Feel the impact. Hear them talking. Hear Cameron going, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind awfully explaining? Could I just seek some clarification around the third tackle interpretation back there?" You can hear him saying that.
I have sat in the
crowd?
producer's booth at Rugby League when the ref's microphone is up bloody loud, and
isn't it
hearing
great?
Gavin Badger screaming, "Get him off! Come on! Move it!"
Oh, it's fantastic. Move!
So it's like it's in my head now. I can't get rid of
Oh,
it.
yes, it's
And
white
you-
noise. We're just-
Yeah, I mean, those words that we get from Overlord Volandis at the beginning of the show, they do resonate about escape and people's entertainment. And the idea is that Rugby League had to come back because we need bread and circuses right now in these difficult times.
Yes.
And in essence, the theory is you can't go to a circus and hear silence.
True. And Chris, you might be referencing the Romans and bread and circuses. I think that's demeaning Volandis and what he's done here. The Overlord has. I mean, to
Well,
me,
he's Greek for a start.
To me, what Christo and Gilbert and George were with conceptual art in the art world, and what craft work. And I saw Disclosure at the Opera House where the singers just appeared on screen. They weren't to be seen. They were on. What do we call it? MIDI interface, samples driven by the actual backing track on Ableton,
Wasn't that Sear at the football stadium?
Yes. What they are to popular music and every damn electronic pop act, which is fakery, or electronic. That's what Volandis is bringing us into, this digital era where we can have fake crowd noises and we can have, dare I say they're a bit clunky, but cardboard cutouts of fans.
Well,
See, I
it
think
has
the
been a bit
cardboard
clunky.
cutouts are a whole lot better than the fan noise. The
Oh, yes.
cardboard, there's an honesty in the cardboard cutout because someone's gone, "I want to be there, I want to represent, I want to cheer
Dennis,
my team."
you-
Whereas you've got these fake, you've got these noises and they're rubbish as well. That's the thing. You're trying to watch Parramatta
Yes, have you ever
playing in Brisbane.
sat there watching the TV and going, "I just got to go to the fridge to get my drink," and you're hearing the crowd noise knowing it's all going well, and then it starts going up in volume and intensity, and you go, "Shit, I've got to run back to my seat."
Why have you not got your drinks next to you?
Exactly,
Why are you
you
not
say
prepared?
that.
Why are you not prepared? But
With a long neck.
But in Brisbane, you're sitting there and you're watching a game and Parramatta score and the crowd goes wild. No! There's three people without teeth in the northwest corner
Dennis,
going,
haven't you been
"Ah!"
paying attention?
That's what happens in Parramatta when Parramatta play in Brisbane.
That is built into the algorithm.
It's
Well,
not.
Yes, it is.
There's silence, and there's nothing better
I
than the
think you've
sound
been
of
watching the Angus
silence.
for too long.
The sound of silence in Melbourne when the Raiders score.
Yes.
If there was 40,000 people there, it would be just as silent as
That
it
would be
was on
funny.
Saturday night.
That would be
and
funnier.
that's beautiful. You want to hear that silence, that space. You want to hear Parramatta has scored. Parramatta's
Yes.
30-0,
And the
36
Roosters
up.
sipping their lattes, to use a cliche.
Exactly. You want to hear the sip.
I mean, it's hard for me to follow all this, right?
Yes.
Because I'm a simple guy. But first of all, are there idiosyncratic factors that are indigenous to each grounds? For example, you could never have
yes.
Seabus Super Stadium as loud as Leichhardt Oval because it's never been as loud as Leichhardt Oval because of the different fortunes of Tigers and Titans fans,
Now,
right?
it is a real shame that they're not playing there because that would be great to have actual samples of actual crowd noises at Seabus Super Stadium being played in the game.
It would throw the players if they
Let's
played
have a
them.
listen to them now, Pat. No, that's them. That's how good
Yeah,
is
there you
that?
go, perfect.
That's Seabus Super Stadium.
Dennis,
How good do they
you
sound?
like me, we have a rare window into this that we have travelled around a lot of the ovals and heard the noises. The clam-shaped shells of Amy reverberate incredibly to a point where it's nearly like overload for your eardrums. To try
See,
and figure out what's going on.
I've never been to Amy Park. I wish I had.
Right.
It's one of my
Whereas
life
Bank
goals.
West, of course, there's a lot of bounce, but it's a
Oh, it's
pretty
beautiful.
good bounce. Yeah.
It's good bounce because it's up nice
the
and high.
SCG. Hello, hello, hello. You
And
need
the SCG, what
60,000.
happened to the SCG? The bloody PA is so loud because there's no one there. So they put it up way too loud. Hello, Rose
Yeah,
again. They put it up
that
way too
on-ground
loud.
DJ's
Whereas
crazy.
At Western Sydney,
Yeah.
it's a right size PA. It's a big enough place. There's enough sound. It actually sounds great. I like the PA there. It's fantastic.
But you guys are into this sonic alchemy, clearly, that I don't
very
understand.
much.
Let's go back. Let's go. Channel 9 use a company called AFX. They're an external mob, and they have built this system. We also know we've seen the interview with Fox.
Hang on, sorry, I hate to interrupt, Stephen, but didn't AFX used to make model
Yeah, I've still
car
got my-
racing?
Is they?
I've still
Have
got my
they
AFX
diversified?
cars.
Have they
Yeah, yeah.
repurposed?
Yeah.
It's like, this is their version of hand
We're
sanitizer.
talking about
Yeah, this is their version.
cars.
Yeah, it's like us. Yeah, the AFX.
Wow. I had
AFX
those-
There was
Aurora.
either Scale,
You put your own decals
Scale
on?
Electrics were at 1/16th and AFX were
Oh, I
1/25th
had
scale.
Electrics, you're right.
Yeah, the 1/25th, they're awesome.
Right. Okay, so the other company for Fox decided they'd go to America, and they got a company with a quote of $2 million. Okay, so I thought,
Bargain.
and you and I both know, or we should know, as audio-involved people, that you get a bunch of samples and you bring the fader up and away you go. Put it on a loop, get some extra noises to go when the crowds get excited when there's a try. You play the try sting, away you go. Easy done. for $3,000. They got it done in-house by a guy called Tony Kovalius. And he just loves it. And apparently he's got a wah-wah pedal, like we mentioned, like Jimi Hendrix style, Style in the Family Stone style. And he just brings up the noises and the layers. And it's more, I think, subtle.
Well, I think calling it a wah-wah pedal is a bit of it's a volume pedal. It's just a MIDI volume pedal.
All right,
so you've got that, and you've got you have attenuation.
Mechanics, Dennis.
It is like it makes him an instrument, but I don't personally, as an audio wanker, I don't think it's perfect.
So
I don't think it's. I actually enjoy the clarity of the game. And to me, hearing a crowd, and this is having worked in film, having scored films and TV shows, when there's something that's not on, and in stage, in musicals, you do not put something on stage that is not going to be used in the show because it's distracting and it's purposeless. If you have something on stage, it has to have a reason to be there. That crowd, we know, is not there.
No,
So when you hear the crowd,
that they are there.
you hear
That's
the crowd.
trickery.
You've seen the camera angles they're using really well. They're putting the cameras are up higher, pointing down, a lot more downward. So that they've done very well there. But then they show the crowd, and there's no one there. So when you hear the crowd roar and see the empty stand, you go, "I am being faked. This is fake."
Dennis,
and the whole reason you
Dennis.
like rugby league is because it's real.
3 words: suspension of disbelief.
Exactly.
It's been used in circuses and films
Exactly.
for eternity.
So how do I now trust the result of the game? How do I now know the game wasn't
This
thrown?
is the modern world of Landis' dragging us
How
into.
did I know Verlandis didn't just say, Cameron, you're going to lose this one. Could you orchestrate it, please? How do I know? Because it's being orchestrated.
You
and
wouldn't
I don't trust rugby league when it's orchestrated.
It's the artifice.
You wouldn't be much fun at an Avengers movie, would you? And to me, one thing that's fascinating to me is that because you've got the in-house Fox, you've got the third-party Nine. It's two philosophies.
Yep.
Now I was doing like the guy does, I guess, when he masters a record. I was flicking between the two channels.
AB. It's called AB.
Thank you. And my takeaways with this that it was brighter and more dynamic on Fox, and there were a few errors. Like he got full on the wah-wah pedal when Mike Acevo scored off a forward pass at Sonko. Whereas the
Give him time.
to me, the Channel 9 was more Eno-esque. It was more ambient.
Yes.
And you had the impact stuff that you like more up in the mix. And I believe that people will make their ratings decisions going
Based
forward.
on the crowd noise ability.
Not on the teams,
No.
not on the game itself, but on the quality of the crowd noise.
See, Dennis, you're coming to the
No,
fore now.
no, it's got, I'm answering you're going to
This
have...
is good for you. This
you're
is
gonna-
good for you.
You're going to
Yeah,
get you're going to get the telly on a Tuesday. You're going to
This
look
brave new world that Orwell imagined, And,
It's Teamless Tuesday.
We'll have a tube to the TV that we get an instant hit of Soma to make us happier.
Yes.
Yes, in case we're
Oh, I thought you were
losing.
going to say we'll have a tube like a Peter Frampton style of the
voice box.
And then, of course, which brings me to the fan in the stand, the cardboard
Yes.
cutout, which I think everybody has got a great laugh out of this weekend. I thought it was hilarious stuff. Dominic Cummings, the British minister that's on the run at the moment, he was seen.
Well, I think he's just an
joking.
advisor to Boris,
Who
isn't
did you
he?
see?
Well, I
Did not
saw.
see Kraftwerk.
I actually think one of the sound rigs looks exactly like Falk Griffenhagen's rig at Kraftwerk. When you look at it closely, he's just moving his fingers up and down a screen and
Yeah.
things happen. Well, of course, infamous serial killer Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death, was spotted in the stands. And, of course, there was even a little bit of tomfoolery on the Matty Johns show,
Yes.
where they ran that absolute classic where they took the one which had the legitimate shot of the Joker from the Warriors.
Yes.
And behind him they had superimposed cardboard cutouts of two
Arch
individuals.
villains.
Yeah, and they said,
Who are the arch villains?
well, one of them was the Führer.
Oh, Adolf Hitler himself.
No, they said it was Richard Wilkins.
That's a laugh.
Juxtaposed with Adolf Hitler, and of course,
I think you could call Richie or Dickie a lot of things, but not the Führer,
The-
surely.
and the world quite rightly is in uproar today because you can't. Well, you can make jokes with Hitler, but you got to know when and how.
I think Python have done it.
Yeah, it's like timing.
Yeah. Has Seinfeld done a Hitler joke?
Yes,
And do the kids
Mr.
get it
Pitt.
now?
Mr. Pitt, remember Mr. Pitt, and he sort of had the joffers on, and he got the boot polish. So, but there's the point,
Yes.
because I think it's our members, perhaps of the Jewish community, are somewhat concerned about what went down on the Matty Johns show, and not just the joke, just
Yeah.
the general description of the show.
Yeah.
But Seinfeld,
Yeah, it's
Larry David?
It's accepted if your sense of irony or your take on it is declaring itself to be honestly against and fully aware of the understanding of what Hitler had done.
Mel
If you're
Brooks?
just using it just have a cheap gag. It's not making Hitler just a cheap light gag is not on. Right?
the guy who directed Jojo Rabbit. I mean, it's a complicated world, but it does show how rugby league under Verland is morphing.
Yeah.
It is an escape. It's an escape where real people don't have to be there. They can just have fake two-dimensional people, and the sound comes from the wizardry of people like your good
With it.
selves.
And let's just. How quickly does the world evolve, or the revolution, as you call it, when the Dragons fans as cutouts were leaving the stand
Yeah.
earlier.
Well-
Now, genius, right?
Beautiful.
I found that unseemly. I mean, everyone trying to claim that joke. People on Twitter, the likes of Andrew Webster on the Sunday Footy Show, going, "Oh, do you like that joke, boys? I made. I'm going to lead my column with it." Where Vossi called it at the game,
Yeah.
so
On
I'm
the
going to
run.
give it to Vossi.
Okay, what's
Yeah, I'll
next?
give it to
Just
Vossi
wrap
as
this
well.
second, what's next? What possibly, if I could trust Dennis that you'll run with this concept, I know you disagree with the concept, but what could PVL implement a la the revolution of the fake artifice of rugby league?
What he's going to get, what I'd say he should get, is supply when you get your club membership,
Yep.
you get an iPad, and that iPad is 1-to-1 with another iPad that's on the face of the fan in the stands.
Yes.
So you have your face. You're actually watching footy on your iPad.
from yourself.
And it's so the fan in the stand doesn't just have a photo of your face. It's got your actual face on iPad going.
Right.
And
So-
it has sound. And it has sound. So you're there. The iPad is going, yeah! Woo!
You're not going to say get him on side, are you?
Get him on
Get him
side.
side, ref.
Doing it all day, ref.
Doing it all day.
ref, yeah.
So you've got 30,000 iPads.
Wow.
All saying that,
Well,
and then they can do that whole that you like to do with the app at Lang Park, where the iPads will all light up with different patterns and things. Like, how good!
Lovely. So that's short, I think, of putting in full-blown robots.
Well,
It's
And
the
then,
next.
of course, we've got the problem of Westworld,
yes.
where the robots turn on us.
when the hosts go rogue.
Or they become self-aware.
Well,
What do you think, Chris?
Well, I think the good news for you, Stephen, because we know that Peter Volandis listens to this show because we are rebranding or in the course of rebranding the PVL show.
Yes.
And he's actually gone back into the archives and he's listened to previous podcasts where you've advocated for a GPS to be put into the ball.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that launch of SpaceX
Yes.
the other day
Yes.
is to install the satellite.
That can read the metrics of the field with the ball.
So what goes next? The
Yes.
referees go next because
Yes.
it'll all be done from the International Space
Right.
Station.
Well, what about, I would suggest that a la the virtual reality performance of Tupac, you may have seen that at one of those graphic performance nights,
Frank Zappa.
Michael Jackson, for example, which leads me to the path, of course, of like horse racing, where you call it Keno, is that right, Dennis?
I think it's part of Keno.
If you go into a TAB, there's a fake horse race.
Oh,
happening.
in your RSL club, yeah, they've got a fake
And
in-house.
we're supposed to believe that's not rigged or
Yeah.
controlled by some sort of chip.
Oh, of course it is.
Hello?
Of course it is. There's nothing random about it.
So
It's all
we could
pre-planned.
end up with actual no footy, real footy.
It could just be another one of those sports entertainments where the results are predetermined and we'll love it.
That's it.
Now, what the referees need to do, and in the first 5 rounds of the competition, for as long as I can remember, they go through this penalty blitz rubbish and they start new interpretations and they're blowing the PRs. But we don't go through this now for the next 5 weeks while they put their interpretation on what one referee should. Leave the whistle in the dressing room and let's get on with the worrying about the speed of the play the ball. You're the blokes that are coaching the slow play the balls. I'm on the referee side with this, provided they don't panic this week. Give a couple of penalties in to play the ball just to give 6 again. That will wake them up more than anything. Feel as though I'm irritated about this.
Drop the mic, Gus. Drop the mic. Well said.
Stay out of the game. Relax. We don't need you to do anything, Mr. Referee. We don't need you to do anything.
Fire up. We're back. We are courtesy of the Diamantina Media Network and FBI Radio here, broadcasting the Quiet Australian with Dennis Carnahan and Chris Gale and myself, Stephen Ferris. There was another innovation that we need to talk about and the implications after the first round. It was called on the screen the set restart. Dennis?
Yes. Now, it's a funny name, set restart, because the whole idea is to not have a set restart. That cheating teams like the Roosters, like the Storm, they'll prefer to give away a penalty in front of their goalpost because their defensive line isn't set. So they like to set their defensive line. So instead now, the referees are under Volandis' instructions.
Yeah.
If someone infringes in the ruck, someone's offside,
what do you
whatever.
hear?
What do you hear? Well, what you hear
Yeah. Because it was all so fast. I was.
at the ground, you'll see that the referee is going 6 again, 6 again, and then you'll hear this.
No! That's somebody killed a cat for that.
No, that is actually, that original is a sample of Ricky Stewart at home
Yes.
after a loss, and they've
house cat.
and they've run that through a Fairlight synthesizer,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is just an Australian innovation success story.
Yeah.
And that's actually at the ground. I thought it was just like the whoosh, last fifth tackle.
No, it's
Can
at
I
the
hear that
ground.
again, Dennis, please?
It's at the ground,
Clarify
certainly.
this noise. Ooh.
And it's
Now,
actually...
do you remember when Peter Hoare took a cat on his tricycle
Yes.
in the middle of the ground at Newcastle?
Yeah, Newcastle.
What happened to that
The
poor
serial
cat?
pest.
Yeah, yeah. Is that the cat that they just...
No, this is Ricky's.
That's Ricky's cat. So it's still alive.
This is when he was a
Not
player.
So a
I don't know.
cat, no animals hurt. No.
That's all we
Badly.
I actually suspect it's not a cat. It is, in fact, Ricky himself.
Now, first of all, if you're a cat lover and you're footy player and you hear that noise on field, wouldn't that throw you a little bit? Wouldn't it? Automatically?
That's why a lot of defences are getting torn to
What the
shreds.
hell was that noise?
They're all looking around and they're not focusing on the
And then someone
play.
runs straight through the middle. So it's not a set down, as you said.
It's like the crowd noise. Needs a bit of fine tuning, I think.
Chaos is momentum, isn't it?
But doesn't this speak to the genius of Volandis, right? Because people are claiming that Bennett came up with the idea.
No.
It was Graham Annesley and Junior Pearce. We all know it's Volandis.
You know what? I've said this in 2013 on ABC Grandstand. I said it again in 2014. I've made the comparison. Stephen, turn your ears off.
Yes.
There's a game called AFL. And in the game of AFL, if you give away a free kick, you just get a free kick. Whereas and there's 30, 40 a quarter. There's just heaps of them. They don't matter that much because a free kick in a game that's on a field that's 200 metres long, forget about it's AFL. Don't worry about it. In a game that's 200 metres long, one kick is 50 metres. Whereas in a game that's 100 metres long and you get 6 tackles, getting another 6 tackles and a start, if you're down your end, that's a huge deal. And people
Yeah,
score
you're in the
off
next
them.
suburb.
So suddenly, if you infringe, it appears to be less of a penalty if you just go 6 again.
But
It
it's
makes the
not.
appearance that it is.
not.
But it actually means that you can't set your... So people were cheating it and setting their defensive line, giving away penalties on purpose. Cheating!
Can I
say
make a
cheating.
technical comment here, which is unusual for me?
Uh-oh.
Robbo, the genius of boys, concede the penalty, lay over the player, we'll get our line set, we trust each other. And let's face it, I hate to say it, the Roosters are good defence.
No, they are. But
That-
they're a good set defence. They
that-
don't like broken field play.
That penalty means that the opposition could score off the net set of 6. With the set restart, now they should score. And this is the genius of Volandis. He is able to turn up, down, black, white. So he goes, we are reducing to 1 referee, and then all of a sudden it's actually 3 referees because 2 referees have become touch judges. The set restart, as so eloquently put by Denis, is not a set restart
It's
at
a
all.
shambles.
It's an anti-set
It's a
restart.
chaos restart.
And the penalties, which of course were down this round compared to last year, 9 versus 13, because they don't report said set restarts.
Yeah.
No wonder the
Yep,
cat is
yep, yep.
screaming.
Let's call it a repeat 6, shall we?
6 to go.
6 to go.
6 again.
6 again. Whoa! 6 again. The cat's on the run.
I tell
Six
you,
again.
where
And
was
the thing is-
Ricky's cat last year in the grand final?
Well, I think what you're... Like, last year in the grand final, there was the classic where Cooper Cronk, he decided that he was... That they were more likely to be able to defend for 10 minutes without him than he was able to stop Joshua Parley. So he chose to get sent off. And again, because they back their defence. They believe that they can
Correct.
defend. If their defence is set, they'll be fine. The defence was broken. Bugger that, we'll give away a penalty.
Yep.
That's gone.
Yep.
That's gone.
And when Cooper made that selfless decision, or the
The
greater
most
interest of the
professional
team,
decision.
absolutely superb. And you know what his words were as he left the boys on the field?
10 minutes.
Don't fuck this up.
There you go.
Now, we're assuming that
Easy.
with 18 rounds and 17 to go, that PVL will come up with a revolution every round.
Oh, boy,
We're waiting for this week's announcement, right?
he hasn't got going yet.
Hasn't even started.
Come on now.
He's got that great magic box of ideas he's been holding on to since he was the
'Cause
log
he
from the
did-
gong, right?
I'm pretty sure you mentioned last week he said he was going to come in when there's a crisis, fix it up, and then fade to the background. And I think his fading to the background is the same as Tony Abbott saying, I'm not going to go to the backbench and snipe.
And
He's
Dennis,
not.
if you look anywhere in the world, there's a crisis happening.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere you
And
look,
he'll be there. He's
he'll
like
be
the
there.
Thunderbirds
Yes,
now. Is that
exactly.
what you're saying?
So
it's
the-
International
you
Rescue.
imagine- can you imagine-
PVL. Volandis Island.
Yeah.
He's got Volandis 1 is up in space. And that's Volandis 5.
He is Jeff Tracy,
Oh.
Scott, Virgil, Gordon, Alan,
He's
John,
the lot.
Tintin, Carano, and the Hood. He's the whole box
What about
of
Lady
dice.
Penelope?
Well, yes, Parker. Is that Brad Parker that plays for Manly? Probably not.
Now, boys,
Could
I
be.
forgot that rugby league is a metric game. It's driven by numbers, and there's 16 teams, and only 8 can win.
Correct.
Everywhere.
Well, except with the exception of Newcastle, Penrith.
That is a rare exception.
Very rare.
You've got me there. Essentially, in my naive way, I was stumbling into this round like some sort of zombie, thinking it'll be all right, it'll be great. But there were winners and there were losers. Let's go around the winners, shall we? And I hate to say it, but Eastern Suburbs looking very tight, very efficient.
Professional?
Professional.
Well drilled.
Like a proper rugby league team, Parramatta, they look willing.
Well, I don't want to get up on my soapbox, but who are the outstanding players for Parramatta?
Well-
the double M's, Madison and bloody Moses.
But I'm going to say another thing about Parramatta. Flat. track bullies. That's what I'm going to say. They're playing the Broncos. Like, the Broncos. Now, let's look at the Broncos. The Broncos have somehow survived the meteor crash.
Yeah.
And they've got these massive dinosaur forward pack.
Yeah.
And they're just bumbling and stumbling and rumbling around.
Diplodocuses and brontosauruses.
Diplodocus, but they're this huge, and they've got these little rodents, these little eels.
The little beetles. What? They couldn't control it.
He's gone past me.
Though, in contrast, Dennis, of course, the one shining moment for the Broncos was when Brodie Croft scored. And the great Gus Goulden, reflecting about this, the six again, cat screaming, little men brought in the game, he goes, what a great moment for our game as Brodie Croft out-sprinted some tiring Eels forwards. A little man making the bigger men look stupid. That's what makes our game great. That's what kids love to see. That's what excites the crowd. I object to that.
Anybody under 5'10", nodding their heads, going, yeah.
I'm looking across the table here and seeing one
we
person.
We have an ideological rift here.
They're both blonde,
yes,
but
this
one
is a
of them
culture war
likes it,
now.
and one of them
Big bloke
doesn't.
versus little blokes.
I'm infurious. I stand with Payne Haas on this. And can I go further? Professor Roy Masters had this to say, and again, is this true? Every league fan loves the sight of the tiny half weaving through the behemoths.
He asked the question. And it has become a defensive game and a big man's game. Yeah. It's a little bit like The Last Dance. I don't buy this, what's his name? Michael Jordan. They're that big now, right? They stride the basketball
You mean
field.
Michael Jennings?
No, I'm talking about basketball.
Haven't heard of it.
Okay. Chris has.
Yeah. He goes...
The notion that the court doesn't get any bigger.
So you think Payne Haas should go play basketball? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying...
He probably could.
He thinks that Payne Haas should just be left out to dry.
I'm saying, do you remember when tennis players were once perhaps just under 6 foot? Now, of course, they're all 6'6", right?
Stephen, how tall are you?
I have no idea. 5'6.5".
Chris, how old?
Yeah, I'm 6'6". Yeah,
okay, Brodie Croft. You know how tall Brodie Croft is? I'm going to put this up on the Brodie Croft. It says here on Google 1.89 meters. That's 6'3". It says
he's
Brodie
a little
Croft is 6'3". Yeah. Well, he's not. He's 177.
Right.
Okay, but it says on Google. Look at that, Brodie Croft, 1.89 meters.
Yeah,
Like,
Broncos spin. But
rubbish.
Roy talks about the sight of the tiny half weaving through the behemoths as if he was riding a mini scooter through a herd of drugged elephants.
I've often done that to you, Chris. We've been out at the Horn Pavilion, you're the one elephant.
And you bring up basketball. What have they done in basketball? They've all developed 3-point shots now, so the big guy's irrelevant in basketball as well. I used to be something. Now they're just raining threes.
You're missing the point. Rugby league has been building bigger men at pace, and the little guys have been squashed like bugs. Now's their chance.
Maybe we should have
don't we all love that?
Maybe there should be a wait for age. The NRL should go wait for age.
Okay. Can I say congratulations, West Tigers?
Thank you very much.
Okay, how'd you feel?
Well, and perhaps in contrast to most of the games, we came out of the blocks early, and then Cronulla surged back, a la Wade Graham, attacking our right half. And the boys are looking good, but I do think you can draw a contrast between the off-season isolation training, during season isolation training of Alex Twoll, looked magnificent. The Leiluas looks like they might have been on a good paddock. And I was very concerned when we went to Lemons at half-time, but Madge weaved his magic, and I think... when we had the fire up breakfast with Madge earlier this year.
Yes, I do, yes.
We shared a few thoughts with him, and I think he probably relayed them to the boys.
He's still in my brain. When I see him, I go, ooh, I better be careful.
Well, yeah.
He influences you.
Now when he sees Chris, he still has that tear. He's like,
I know, that's sorry. We'll talk about that another day. Okay, Cronulla, Dukes.
Was brought back in because...
He done good.
Because of some unfortunate drug issue.
Nothing makes me sicker than seeing the Morris Kiddies at the Roosters. They are born and bred red and whiters, Nothing really galls me more than seeing those two.
I've never seen them play better.
I would have thought they're born and bred red. Weren't they Wollongong boys?
What do you mean red?
Steelers.
It's the same thing, Dennis. When are you going to get through your silly skull that we're happy to have the South Coast with
You're
us?
not happy.
I'm very happy. Same colours, same red V, same logo, little word at the bottom. Beautiful.
Little dip of the hat in the bottom, that's all.
Yeah. And they should be grateful.
And every year, whoever wins the jersey contract, be it ISC, Classic, whatever, they get these specifications, and the Illawarra is just slightly smaller every year on the emblem.
8.5 point, yeah.
Anyway, so no Josh Morris, of course, of which they brought the cherry bloke, Bronson in, and Dukes, of course, jaw of glass, he's back in, and he scores, 2 or 3?
Well, Dukes scored 2,
a double.
and he was looking fantastic until David Nufaluma took the dropout catch and came up against him and Chad Townsend, and it was really turnstiles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's good at that. He's famous
Now,
for that.
Look, Manly, great. Tommy Turbo, terrific. But the Raiders done us proud, And first of all, there was Melbourne, who did not get the memo, did not get the chip update to say that there is this 6 again thing going on, and little guys are going to run fast, and we're not going to hold people downtown doing exactly what they've done for the last decade or more.
You know who I blame? The NBN. Right?
Because it's not fast enough.
Well, that's right. They're trying to do the upgrade down there at
Didn't
Ames
happen.
Park, and the NBN's not good enough.
So
We're talking about fibre to the node. What's going on?
No, it's just HFC there. There's just cables, no fibre.
But the conflict is that there is, Melbourne Storm slowing down the game every single tackle, and yet the referee somehow went, that's all right, because I'm sort of used to them doing that. Instead of going 6 again. Normally the ref should be doing this on every Melbourne tackle. Exactly. 6 again, please. I didn't see many.
There were a few.
Yeah.
Joey, I mean, personally,
Yep.
as watching the
What
game,
was your pleasure?
there was one moment where Grant Atkins, Joey, was seen behind Toots. Toots was having a shot at goal. I thought, gee, he's a good-looking man, Grant Atkins. I thought, gee, he's looking good. But I kind of didn't notice he was refereeing. I didn't notice it. Like I didn't. To me, the game just flowed. It just flowed on. You didn't see it. Oh, it flowed for me. It flowed
you
like
have
a
difficulty watching
George
this one.
Williams
Obsessed.
pass.
Whenever I watch Melbourne, I'm obsessed with that moment, that 4-second, 5-second moment.
But don't you sit there and look at the end of the game, like at that moment where 4 Raiders players, so Vunivalu is stepped in field, he's got the ball, and Croker's going, come to my loving arms,
Yes.
and has grabbed him. And then Papa's come over and going, come on, boys,
poetry.
let's have a cuddle. And they've rolled over the sideline, and they've peeled up, and
I took great pleasure.
and Croker's going, yeah, got you there,
I
buddy.
took
And,
great
oh, it was
pleasure,
beautiful.
Georgie Williams, good player.
Someone's got to rein him in.
But you know...
I think the Raiders did 22-6. I think
As a
they
team,
were reined
they
in.
did.
I think they were. And Georgie Williams, Pappenhausen, bang, smashed him. Bromwich, bang, smashed him. It was beautiful. It was glorious.
But you know the...
I just said glorious. Sorry.
You know the really annoying rugby league fan who just goes there and every game, no matter what happens, goes, get them back 10, they're not 10, right?
Yeah.
And this season you might have a point.
Yeah.
But that's all they watch. All they watch is the 10 metres infringement, and they're not enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
You pretty much shouldn't watch the Storms play.
I cannot watch them
'Cause-
without feeling hatred.
No, all you do is just zero in on that, on
that's
the
all
ruck.
right.
And the thing is,
And I don't
you
believe
have
it's
missed.
an illusion, Chris. I don't believe am I going mad?
Yes.
See, what happened to you on Saturday night is you went to watch a beat poet who was just free-forming, and you're looking at his shoes.
Yes.
You need to listen to the
Are you
art. You need to appreciate the art. The
guess I
art
was
of,
in- I guess I was-
Croker getting this bullet pass and not going bang back, but just going
Dennis,
lob.
in hindsight, that's fine. But at the time, I thought, oh no, they're going to get away with it somehow.
And they didn't.
And they
But that's the
didn't.
beauty. So that's the tension
I
and
know.
release. That's the
I
art.
know.
That's the call and response.
They might have got away with it if Safa Solomona hadn't kicked on the third. But are you describing the Raiders as the Allen Ginsberg of the NRL?
Pretty much.
Fair point.
Pretty
Well,
much.
Look, this is all part of the Vallanus Revolution. We'll come back and we've got more stuff to talk about in just a moment here on Fire at the Quiet Australian. Alan Ginsberg. Look him up.
You know, I listen to 3 people in the morning. I listen to the Prime Minister, the Premier and Peter V'landys.
The Quiet Australian. I'm not going to go quietly. I should go quietly. They should just put me down now after my team's loss. But if I could, Chris, you may have a little thank you, a little mention.
We just want to give a shout out to one of our fellow podcast shows, the Hello
There we
Sport
go.
podcast, Dennis and Stephen, as I'm directed down the barrel of the camera. Now, if you listen into Fire Up's Quite Australia to learn something about rugby league, you're obviously sorely mistaken.
And Alan Ginsberg.
That's correct. And our analysis is nothing like Tom and Eddie do on the Hello Sport podcast. These guys, first of all, they're a lot younger. They're in connection with the game.
Better looking.
Yes, much better looking. They broadcast to the punters and the dribblers, which basically covers all of rugby league's fandom.
Yabbers.
And get this, as you can tell, any time that we stray into something like AFL or basketball, we know nothing about other sports. They cover other sports.
Why would you?
So get on the Diamantina Media Network right now and subscribe to the Hello Sport podcast. I know I do, and I know they will.
Exactly. Rightio. It's a broadening world, this podcast world, isn't it, Chris? And we're getting our heads wrapped around how we handle this sort of stuff.
I feel like we're just sliding to the back of the pack. I mean, it used to be fairly open, but now it's a very, very crowded space.
Very competitive too, Chris.
Yeah.
The opening round of resumption round, there was some damage, some collateral damage, and it didn't just start on game day for the Dragons or Mary McGregor. It started during the week, apparently, with a warm-up game, or competitively played warm-up game between the B team and the A team. Those that couldn't make it in and those that did make it in. What was the result?
Dragons lost.
Dragons lost to their own,
That was the result.
to their shadow self.
I think the question was which was the A team, which was the B team.
Well, one of them was described as ragtag, and based on Saturday's evidence, which one do you think?
That was the one that played.
And I surprised myself. I think I know that that's called an opposed session.
Opposed session.
Yeah, it was
well
more
done.
than opposed. But the good news is that the Dragons haven't completely lost the plot, because what they did is actually film that session, and they've sent the DVD out to all the club members so that at least they can see some Dragons actually win again.
That's nice. That's very generous. Very, very considerate of them. Look, the pylon was extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, some legends like Mick Ennis, etc.
Jamie Soward.
Legends.
Everybody piled on the Dragons, quite rightly so. That to me, it's a mystery when you follow a team and you think, right, we've had how many weeks off? 8-9 weeks to get ready again, to reset after 2, admittedly not terribly bad losses, just on the edge of it. Thinking, right, Flano, assistant coach, bit of mongrel, there's a new training coach for speed, etc. Got to be working better than what it was, and they have a team, admittedly full of players that have played in State of Origin and for Australia and or New Zealand, some of them, who really look like they shouldn't have been there.
I think you've actually uncovered the problem right there. Is in that 8 or 9 weeks where they were off individually, and then they come back, and Mary goes, I can't wait to get back with the boys in the bubble. Here we go. Every time he turns up to training, who's already arrived in the car park?
Gazelle?
Flano.
Oh,
Right. Mary's going till about 8, 9 o'clock at night. He's sort of, he's on his laptop trying to sort of spin it out to show he's hardworking. Who's still got the midnight oil burning?
Yeah,
Flano.
Flano, right.
Can you actually successfully hold the dressing room when your successor,
yeah.
Flano,
Premiership winning coach.
yes, more recently than Mary, well, in fact,
And
ever.
probably a street scrapper.
Yeah.
At his heart.
So you talk about sword of Damocles. It's
Yeah.
like a nuclear missile above him.
So you're talking about you've got Kevin Rudd in the backbench, while Julia Gillard's
She's trying to
Prime
do the right
Minister.
thing, you know.
You've got-
Did you see Kevin Rudd talking about the US riots and Trump on the weekend? He has
no.
got a mullet. Seriously, get online and have a look at Rudd's hairstyle right now.
Okay.
He's let it all hang out.
Wow.
He's looking like something out of Austin Powers or something.
Wow. And I'm imagining Murdoch was responsible.
Yeah, I think I saw it on Media Watch, so that's
Right.
a credible outlet, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, it is. So, look, it's very, very hot topic. He's got 2 weeks to go against, apparently like easy beats. And if that ain't going to happen, the Dragons don't have the money to pay him out and get a new coach. And if that ain't going to happen, Flana's not supposed to play as a lead coach till next year. That ain't going to happen. Bennett's still got a contract. What's going to happen? Dean Young?
They'll do what England did to allow that West Indian bowl. They'll just change the rules. Volandis will go.
The Volandis era.
Where's Volandis from? From Wollongong. What's his natural team? The St George
Illawarra
Dragons.
yeah.
So he's going to go.
The
Let him
Archer
in.
principle.
Okay, another big thing, of course, was that, let's face it, COVID-19 is taxing us. It's costing us a lot of money around the world.
It's going to cost you a lot of money because you've got to pay Marriott out about $1 million. I believe.
Exactly, and
Yes.
I've paid my membership, and I'm not going to the games, but I'm happy to pay as long as they do the right thing. And I may even pay for a cutout as well, fingers up in the air. But anyway, it's been announced by the Premier's done a backflip saying that the $810 million that was going to redevelop the big stadium, ANZ, the big girl,
The Olympic Stadium.
I love the image, by the way, of Gladys Berejiklian doing a backflip. That's a tremendous Terry Evans style.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that too. Yeah.
I don't know
possible.
I think his is metaphoric. I think you're thinking about Tinger or, like...
So, and
or
then, of course,
mundane.
PVL stepped into the breach very quickly and said, "Whoa, we could use that $810 million for 4 mini Bankwests."
Yes.
Being situated at Campbelltown,
Correct.
Kogarah,
Correct.
where else?
Penrith.
Brookie. I like it,
Isn't there a centre of excellence due for Brookie?
but I don't
Well-
think it's his money.
No, of course it's not his money. So Gladys goes, we can't do the refurb because we need it for job creation. And I agree, you create some jobs when you build stadiums, but I don't know about the longevity of that job creation. If you
One job
cater
per
us
$1
to
million
things.
is
Yeah.
the ABS.
Yeah, but I kind of like the idea in his mind of the sort of Matryoshka drill principle, right?
Say that again.
The Matryoshka drill principle,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Russian
Oh,
drill.
yeah.
Say it a third time because you've said it differently.
Mini Bank
Say
West
it
or
a
Mini
third
Bank
time.
West
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the Big
yeah.
Bank West
Yeah, yeah.
into ANZ. I think it's a
With
terrific
one-
idea.
Isn't it Babushka?
No, it's Matryoshka.
Matryoshka.
Yeah, Babushka was the song with Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee, you could.
Oh,
When
fantastic.
you're young men.
We talked about Fairlight Computers before. Can we talk about Kate Bush? I could go on.
Okay. And that one extra added bonus was that apart from them being modern and digitally equipped, etc., comfortable, great food, etc., they'd be covered so you could play sport for any time of the year, air-conditioned or in rain, etc., etc.
Yes, and if you saw Volandes being interviewed on this idea, he said that the capacity would be 15 to 20 or 18 to 20,000, and he did this because we all know that, in fact, it'll just be the playing field and then the whole crowd and stands will just be simulated.
Robots.
Yeah.
Project
Modesty
mapping, like-
screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
LED
It'll be
curtains.
modesty screen around there, and on that will be projected.
Dennis, you actually, of any of us here, you actually went to some of the grounds. You went up to Gosford on Thursday night?
I went. No,
Friday
Thursday
night.
night was at Lang Park. I went to Gosford.
Suncorp.
No, it was Lang Park. I went to Suncorp. No, I didn't go to Suncorp. I went to Central Coast Stadium, but I only set up there.
Blue Tongue.
Well, it's not called Blue Tongue. Blue Tongue
isn't called Blue Tongue
It doesn't exist. It's Central Coast Stadium.
Right.
It actually.
I have to accept that.
Thank you.
CCS.
It's CCS. That's exactly what it's called, CCS. And then the CTS, Campbelltown Stadium,
But
because
you
it's owned by
didn't see the
Campbelltown. Didn't see that game, but I did go to the game at Western Sydney Stadium and saw that, and I saw the game.
West.
Thank you. I saw the game at Campbelltown Stadium. Campbelltown Stadium. The ninth wonder because
Concord?
it's the home ground. Because the eighth one is obviously Leichhardt, home ground of the Tigers, so this has to be the ninth, surely.
What was your experience? That's what I want. I don't care
Okay,
about
my
the names
experience
of the
was
ground.
it was very haphazard and military at the same time. And from my understanding of military operations, they are very haphazard. And the army is all about queuing up and waiting and waiting and waiting.
knock on your doors then.
Then marching and then waiting and waiting. That's what military experience is. That's what this was. It was just
Doesn't sound pleasant.
there's venue zone, there's clean zone. I guess to be fair, there was so many unknowns in it. So everyone's just turned up 4 or 5 hours early to make sure we're all protocol and all good. The protocols were all kept. It was all very sensibly done. The main thing I noticed as an observer of the game was that the game on Friday night. It was so fast, and having watched on TV, and it's going to sound sorry, it's an AFL thing. Everyone says AFL is so much better live than on TV. Rugby league, as against the old the pre-Volandis, the pre-Comet, the pre-Meteor, it is so much faster. And the distance, if you look at the metres run per game, and no one's put this stat up, as against 2 weeks ago, or 9 weeks ago to now, they're all buggered because they're running so far. You saw the Storm Raiders game; they're all making 80 metres a set. There's so much running. So you're sitting. It's like watching tennis.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like this, but I'll see if we make the 8. Then I'll tell you. I presume you were in the dirty zone the whole time. Is that right?
I was in. It's called. Everyone in there calls it the dirty zone. The correct term is stadium zone.
Right, so
Stadium
is
zone.
it colour coordinated for the cleans versus the dirties?
At 4 hours before kickoff.
So the yellows can't walk into the red zone?
At 4 hours before kickoff, you hear a certain noise. Well, it's actually not the cat noise. There's a noise, and then there's an announcement saying it is 4 hours to kick off. Everyone must leave the clean zone.
Right.
And the cleaners come in and they then sanitise everything. And then dirty zone people at 3 hours before the clean zone then becomes the clean zone, and that's when you're allowed. That's when they're allowed in.
And when it's over and you're leaving, do you have to, like Karen Silkwood style, go through some sort of high-powered antiseptic shower naked?
The most confronting part when you turn up, they take your temperature with a temperature gun. So you've got this security guard leans over and points a thing at your forehead, and I found it so confronting.
You threw him on his back, didn't you?
I did. Oh yeah, grabbed his arm, bang.
Jason Bourne style.
Oh, that's right. Don't you point that thing at me?
Instinct.
But it is, and he's standing there, arm outstretched, because he's got to keep social distance, and you've got this thing pointing your head by. It's really off-putting.
Did you get a reading? Can you remember? What did you get?
I can tell you if you want. I'm keeping a record. In fact, everyone that's doing it's keeping a record, and we're running a book. I got 36.2 and 36.3 was Friday night, 36.2 on Saturday.
So I've been clocking in around about 36.3, and they say normal's 37. So what does this say?
If you're over 30, 36.2 was Campbelltown was 36.2.
Sounds like one of the score lines from the weekend.
Can I just
Isn't that how Manly beat the Bogs up?
Can I instigate a new part of this podcast?
Yes.
It's called Bullet Point Finish.
Yes.
We just hit some quick,
Let's go.
hard goals.
Rapid
and
round.
Wrap this bugger up,
Okay.
okay? Okay. The rivalries. I was very disappointed in the Roosters South combo at the end of the game. Did you notice that?
Turn my stomach.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
I mean, this is
puke stuff.
It's explicable by the fact that they basically play for each other these days. And
Yeah.
It's hard to know who's who, be they Crichtons or Mitchells or whatever.
Yes.
But and it's also happening geographically. So Teddy Tedesco wrote an article about how he in Coogee had a car speed off yelling This is in Coogee, mind you.
Yeah.
Go
Which
south.
is border town.
Yeah, go south, Michael Luck the Roosters.
Yeah.
And that he gets ridden in a Rose Bay fish shop.
The heart of the
full of South livery and lots of, little chirps of go south. So, I mean...
Who's in the wrong there?
They've got to... Well,
They got to hide, haven't they?
I think Gladys Berejiklian's in the wrong. I think the state government has to legislate where you lived.
Yeah.
You know, in the old days, where you lived determined who you played for.
You remember that? I remember that.
I remember that. No,
Now it's got to be where you live is who you go
And
for.
you didn't get paid.
In the paper, they used to name the teams. There was an asterisk because this guy lives out of... sorry, an asterisk, not an asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk saying this person is from
Which,
out
of course,
of
is
area.
what Wayne Bennett is pushing for right now.
And I know what they say, but when your team's been thumped and then they're unravelling their tapes and whatever, and they're basically hugging each other like they're best mates.
Because they've all played for each other, and it's the same area.
Grinds
And
my gears.
Bullet point, boys.
I believe
Bullet point.
I believe it's a hoax. I believe the whole Rabbitohs Roosters thing is a hoax manufactured by Politis and Volandis and Russell Crowe for ratings.
Yeah, there's
it's
an
the
unholy
same as a
trinity.
fake. It's the same as a fake crowd.
Yeah, Russell Crowe's quote, he believed the Roosters were going to stink up the joint. That's not bad stuff.
It's all just theatre.
love it, George.
It's all theatre.
The ratings were astronomical. Astronomical, weren't they?
Didn't they say it was the best since round 9 last year?
Fox's best ever.
No,
Ever
2014.
2014.
Fox's best ever.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah.
Does that include the 300 billion overseas that they were looking at?
Including the Olympics. Did that? The Olympics?
Imagine if they didn't have the crowd noise then, they really would have rated
Wow.
that.
Exactly. So the ratings were big. I would like to say Bronson Cherry, who of course was, we're waiting on sample B, correct?
Can I simply say, when it's one drug, it's an illegal drug. When it's more than one, it's a cocktail.
It's a cocktail.
So Bronson, I looked up the genealogy of the name Cherry, Xerri, and you telling me it's Maltese.
Yes,
'Cause I
Maltese.
didn't know what it was.
Yes.
The words that came up were wicked, evil, bad, and Cronulla Shark.
That's right.
All synonymous.
Exactly. And finally, this week, any ideas of what you might to expect this week? Looking forward, as they say.
Yeah, I know exactly what I have. I have a really, really uncomfortable feeling in the pit of my stomach
Do you?
because we're taking on the Titans. And all that good work could unravel so easily.
That's pressure and stress,
It
isn't it?
really is not.
How about
I
you,
don't feel
Dennis?
good.
I haven't even looked at the games yet because there's too much work to do. But I know we've got the Knights, and it's the Knights. Whether they're going to have the halves or not, I don't know. I suspect the Raiders are going to win 22-6.
I think they're going to win 22-18. And of course, once your whole world has been dashed, your fairy tales are gone. I got nothing to look forward to.
Yes,
whatsoever.
Stephen. Have you,
Except your voice just broke. So that's a good thing. You finally
the old expression is you don't win premierships in March, and now it's been rebadged
Yes.
to June.
To June.
But are you done with? Are you calling your season?
Well, that's the idiocy of the fan, isn't it?
Yes.
Every week I live in hope again.
Yeah.
Come on. And again, another shout out to Andrew Rose. You can say thank God for the Bulldogs because that's
Yes,
who you
yes.
got this week.
And finally, Chris, have you got any information about where people can find us if they need to find us, etc.?
Yes. So we have a Facebook page.
Well, they're listening to us,
Just
so they probably have.
plug
But-
in
just quietly.
fire up. But we need all that support. We need you to share the podcast
And like it.
and like the Twitter
desperate
feed,
to be
Hate
liked.
it if you don't.
the
Just
Instagram.
Angry.
button,
Get angry at it.
angry.
Give
The
it a hug.
tears.
Give it a hug.
Don't care.
But more importantly, having subscribed, just press listen so it looks like you've listened, even if you just fast forward to the end. But share it because we'd like to grow, get the message out. We love doing this on the Diamantina Media Network.
In the world of artifice, just pretend.
Yeah, that's the world we live in.
Okay, see ya.
Cause I'm all fired up, I'm all fired up and lonesome. I got a chip on my shoulder, and I'm acting just a little too tough.